Welcome to the Carry On Couple Podcast with Ryan and Katrina. This is our podcast about our adventures and how we make life magical. We're going to tell you all about how we travel the world on a tight budget and still make it awesome.
We can't say that our way will work for everybody, but we want to share our experiences with you so that you might be able to have your own travel adventures. And if you're listening, we want you to know that you and I, we're in a club now, the Carry On Club.
Episode 42!
The 42nd. Is it actually 42?
It is.
Okay, good.
It is
Because I
actually
just had
42.
a panic moment where I was like, I think I guessed.
That's good.
Last week on Carry On Couple Podcast, we went over our planning process and explained how we prepared for a long trip.
This week, we want to tell you all about one of our longer adventures from a year ago. We start to explore the land down under, beginning in Sydney, Australia. Take it away.
All right. Hi.
Hey, everybody.
So
We think we're filming this.
yeah,
Hi.
if you're listening via audio format and wondering why we had such a strange opening just now, it's because we're trying something new. We are trying to throw video onto this as well. So we have a YouTube channel, which I will look that up and figure out what the actual page is. I'm pretty sure it's Carry On Couple Podcast.
That seems likely.
I set this up a long time ago, like when we first started podcasting. So it's probably youtube.com/carryoncouple-podcast. Check that out. We also have a Twitch, but we're not streaming on Twitch yet because we're just trying to get this working out. We're not going to be too crazy. We're not going live yet, but we are going to try to start doing video. I also don't know if we're going to do it every week because it took us like forever to set up our studio.
This was a lot of effort.
It took us so much time. So we might not be doing this every week. It might be like a once a month thing. We haven't really talked it over, but we have something new, and we are going to talk about our first destination on video and audio.
What?
What are we talking about?
We are talking about Sydney, Australia.
Sydney, Australia. As you know, last week we did talk about our planning process, so let's go ahead and talk about this.
Yeah, so this was the first stop on our adventure down under.
She calls it our honeymoon part 2.
Part 2! Yes, I do. Because it kind of felt like it was our honeymoon again. And literally everyone we talked to asked us if we were on our honeymoon.
Yeah.
So I'm just going with it.
/ we kind of told people we were on our honeymoon.
But even the people we didn't tell, everyone just thought we were so in love. Oh. That we were on our honeymoon.
You almost said that like we weren't in love.
We were so in love.
Okay, thank you.
Obviously.
Okay. So we've talked about it before. We've talked about jet lag. First of all, how long was the flight?
I think it was like 12 hours.
I think that's right. I think it was 12 hours.
It was overnight.
Yeah. Yeah, so that made it a little
which is
easier.
great for me.
Yeah, for her.
Hey, sleeping on a plane.
I was okay on that flight. I probably slept about 4 of the hours. Just because
I don't even think I was awake for the
No,
hours.
you were not, because I watched several movies. I think I watched an entire series of something.
That sounds probable.
It's entirely possible.
Yeah.
But did you get any jet lag?
No.
Of course not, because you were asleep the whole time. I don't think I did either, actually, because the way the time change works is from LA, it's a 19-hour change. Which,
He says so.
if it's noon today, it's 7 a.m. tomorrow. So really, it's more like a 5-hour jet lag backwards rather than thinking 19 hours forward. Because if you think about it, you're waking up at 7 a.m. In Sydney, you're waking up at noon at home. So it's an easy adjustment. Like you wake up super refreshed because you slept until noon.
I guess so. That makes sense if you think about it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know. Everyone told us that we probably wouldn't get jet lagged on the way there.
Yeah, because it's so drastic.
But that on the way back, we would be miserable, jet lagged crazies.
And I think that was true.
No, it wasn't. I was fine.
You were fine both ways?
I was fine both ways.
What?
Okay,
Ever.
so I didn't write this down, but I feel like I should just, in the notes, but I'm just going to explain the story.
I'm getting jet lagged thinking about this.
So we got back, and we landed in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and I went straight to work.
Oh, you're talking about when we got back.
Yeah, when we got back from Australia and New
we
Zealand.
landed, didn't even go home.
We did not. We didn't even get breakfast. No, I think we went and got breakfast.
No, I think I got you breakfast.
Or you got me breakfast.
And brought it to
and
your
dropped
work.
me off at work. I worked like a 12-hour day.
Yeah.
And it was totally fine.
Yeah.
And everyone was asking me like, "Oh, when did you get back?" And I was like,
A couple hours ago.
No, I didn't say anything. And I was like, like really recently. And one of my friends at work was like, "You literally just got off the plane, didn't you?" And I was like, accurate.
Yep.
Not going to deny that. Everyone else assumed I got back the day before.
Yeah.
Likely for some people, not me. But yeah, so I got really lucky and I didn't really feel jet lagged at all when we got back.
All right.
I just like kept living.
So if you know our podcast from the audio format, we kind of have a quasi format. We have notes in front of us, but we don't really like we go off on tangents like crazy. But let's get back to Sydney and let's talk about our general observations.
General observations?
The lingo, even though it's English, some of you might know they have a lot of weird things that they can say where they can have a full English conversation and you can't understand a word they're saying. Yeah.
And I would say when we were there, we didn't get too much of that, but we definitely did have some like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah. Yeah. What? So there's if you have brekkie.
Breakfast.
That's breakfast, yeah.
Which is actually one of my faves. And we kind of caught on to that super fast. It's not super hard, but we started saying it too, and we ran into someone.
It's a fun little thing. It almost sounded like, it almost seemed like I can't think of what the word is. It almost seemed like a
abbreviation.
I might get abbreviation, but
is that what you're trying to say?
No, like a trend. It almost seemed like a trend that would happen here that happens for a while. I
was just very proud of us because when we ran, like weeks later, we ran into someone in New Zealand who was from Australia, and we said something like, "Oh yeah, we just had this for brekkie," and she was like, "Oh, you know?"
Yeah.
And she was like,
"Yeah, we know."
We were like, "We got that."
We're so hip.
We know what to say.
There's also which they have a lot of green out there,
yes.
And they call any forest that they think about of trees, they call it bushland.
Yes.
Yeah, so it took us a while to figure that out, though. I thought bushland was literally a location for a while. Like, we're going to the bushland.
I didn't really think it was a specific location, but I thought it was referring to, like, kind of like what we would have in, like, a nature preserve here in California, like, low-growing desert bush-like plants.
Right.
That's what I was imagining.
Yeah.
And then, they talk about going bushwalking and doing stuff like that. And
bushwalking, yeah.
And that's, like,
bushwalking is
normal.
hiking.
People say that all the time.
Yeah.
And
that was one that got me was bushwalking.
Yeah.
Because I was like, bushwalking? What are we doing?
I was picturing like those let's go into the wilderness and find ourselves with these hallucinogenic
and they would
drugs.
actually
That's not what it is. That's what in my head. That's let's go bushwalking and find ourselves.
Oh, that's
what I pictured.
Well, they would even abbreviate bushland and say we're gonna go bushwhacking in the bush.
In the bush, we're gonna go in the bush.
We're gonna go in the bush. So that was. So
there was a lot of differences there. And what about your sunglasses?
My what? Are you talking about my sunnies?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
That's another one I love.
Yeah.
They do a lot of things that they like kind of shorten or
they do a lot
like
of abbreviations.
The Y at the end, like brekkie. And there was like when I was looking up some stuff and trying to remember, there was probably like a third of the ones on this one list I found were just like things that they kind of shortened and add a Y on the end.
That's hockey players do that with names.
Do they?
Yeah, they do it with the last names. I was Millie. Like that was me.
Is that where that?
No, that's not where it came from. But that was an easy one in hockey. Like they call me that on my team that I'm on now.
Yeah.
The weather there was generally sunny. Fairly similar to California.
Oh, so similar.
Aside from the crazy winds.
Yeah.
They were having an unusual windstorm where it was actually going through the whole continent, starting all the way on the west side and going all the way through
and these
ending on the west side.
Crazy powerful winds blowing through, causing like chaos, damage, and this made us feel kind of homesick. Just kidding. Not really, but it did feel very much like home.
And like
fires.
The Santa Ana winds,
causing
fires.
a lot of fires.
Yeah, so
which is crazy.
Australia was on fire when we were there.
It was lit.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just said that.
I can't believe you just said that.
It just came out.
Oh. Okay.
Keep going.
Anyways, we were there during their early spring / summer, right?
Well, no, we were there late spring.
Late spring, early summer. That's what it was. Yeah, flipped it around. But yeah, so we actually came at like the perfect time because it was when it was winter for us here. So we went to the summer.
I know. I felt
there.
like we got like 2 summers that year.
That was great.
It was wonderful.
Yeah.
I was so tan.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I looked up a video that you guys are probably going to see much later in this series. We were both like dark.
Yeah.
You could tell we got a lot of sun by the end of our trip.
And the reason that we got so much sun is not because we were being crazy and going out in the sun like without sunscreen and stuff. It was that the sun works differently in Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah. It's much higher UV index.
The UV index is crazy. The sun is so strong. And I know at least over part of it, they basically say there's just a giant hole in the ozone layer and the sun is killer. So pro tip, like don't go anywhere without sunscreen. Buy it when you're there, get extra, put it on multiple times.
Bring a hat, and not even like this kind of hat. Like you've seen some of the pictures that we post on. It's better than nothing, but I have one of the hats that's like really big. I wish I brought it out. I could have worn it while we were doing this.
You pale folks out there.
Pasty ones.
Yeah. You're gonna need it.
I got a hat that actually had UV protection, and I wore it every day. It was tough to bring on the plane, but so worth it.
It's very
so worth it. Do we want to go on, or are these still? No, these are beyond general. Do we have any other general observations?
There's one more.
What's that?
What do you feel about sandflies?
They're the worst. Sandflies, they don't sound bad. You're like thinking, oh, they're just like houseflies. It's like houseflies, but sandflies. No. They're tiny little demons, and what they do is they act like mosquitoes or fleas, and they bite you.
They're terrifying.
And the bites are probably the worst thing that I've had. I don't think I had any until New Zealand, so that's going to be further down. Yeah. But sandflies are a thing in both Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah, and we did, thanks to those crazy winds, we got really lucky, and there were no sandflies when we were in Sydney.
Yeah.
Or at any of the beaches or anything like that, which we heard would have been slightly different if the winds hadn't been there. So there's a plus to the wind.
Yeah. That was a plus to the wind.
Yeah, so that's kind of our general observations. So let's talk about where we stayed.
Yeah, the lodging. We stayed at a location. Oh, before we do all this, all of this stuff was booked. Most of the stuff was booked via our agent, Michael, with Guest New Zealand. Hi, Michael, if you're watching this. He did a great job just like prefacing this. We're probably going to mention him a lot. But anyways, the first place he has us staying is called the Russell Hotel. It's a very much boutique hotel.
Yes.
It's actually 3 buildings kind of meshed into one.
Yeah.
They kind of took over the neighboring buildings and not even like the full building, like the top floors of the building.
Yeah, top floors.
Yeah.
It's got a very like Winchester house.
I was going to say that. Yeah, it was Winchester, yeah.
And the way that I can prove that is that we were staying on floor 2.5.
Yeah, so we were on the 3rd floor, but what we had to do is we had to go up to the 3rd.
No, when we checked in, he was like, "Oh, you're halfway between the 2nd and 3rd floor."
Yeah, because how we had to do it was we had to go up to the 3rd floor, then down a set of stairs, then halfway up a set of stairs.
It was
and then like another like 2 steps. It was weird.
Yeah,
I was looking for a video. I was going to splice in a video of our tour. We always do like these things for my parents.
Yeah,
we always record the video.
One.
I can't find. We're going to try to find it for you guys. Hopefully you can find it by the end of the week and you'll see it right here. But if not, that looked dumb.
Oh well.
Anyways, there was in the town, city, or the
wrong words.
What's the word I'm thinking of?
Area.
The area.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's neighborhood maybe.
The neighborhood.
The neighborhood that it was in is called The Rocks, and so this kind of historical part of Sydney, and it was a really really good location to be in. Everything was super close by. It's very walkable. You were close to really nice shopping, kind of cute little shops, tons of restaurants, and across the street from our hotel was actually the like transportation depot with where you could catch the bus, the train, the ferry, all of that
Cruise
stuff.
ships.
Yeah, so it was super super convenient. Another cool thing about our hotel was that actually directly under our room, well, I guess, 2.5 floors down, was the oldest pub.
You put that in air quotes.
I did. But people could maybe see me.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. This is not only an audio format anymore. It's a video format as well. So, hopefully the camera's working.
Yeah, the oldest pub in Sydney.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that in a little bit. They had like this tiny little pub down there. There was live music on the weekends.
Mhm.
It was very fun down there. It was super packed and crowded and super fun.
I do remember the first night us being really tired from traveling, and we explored and everything.
And we had to be up super early. We had to be up
super early for a tour and going to bed, and they were just blasting live music, and we're like, man, that sounds so fun. I can't wait to do that another day.
I can't wait to do that tomorrow.
And we slept like babies. Not like babies. We slept like a rock. Wait, in the rocks. We slept really well.
We did. We slept really, really well. And another cool thing about this hotel is, I don't know if it's always that way or if ours was booked that way, but it was a bed and breakfast too.
Yeah.
So they had breakfast included, which was awesome.
I think it was intentional. I think it was that it was a bed and breakfast. Yeah. Transportation.
That's right.
Do we want to talk about that? Getting from the airport was really easy. Didn't we take the train?
Yes.
Yeah.
We did.
And it was actually really inexpensive too.
Yeah, it was
from
super
what I remember.
cheap. The public transportation is pretty easy to figure out. Everything's in English. That's a help. And you have to it's free, but you get an Opal card is what they call it.
Yeah.
Remember we talked about how everyone has got a weird name for their card that does things? Theirs is the Opal card. So it's reloadable, and I think you have to put $10 on it to get it. But yeah, then once you do that, or you can do single tickets, I think. But
I think most places you could do single tickets. We're going to travel a lot.
A bunch of stuff. So we got one of those.
We should have brought that out. We could start showing the cards.
Yeah.
Darn.
Walking was another great way to get around. Like I said, especially if you're in like the downtown area or like city center, something like that, it's super easy to walk around. And then oddly enough, for this particular trip, because we had booked a lot of tours, we had a private car.
Yeah. And not like rental car, like someone driving us around. Yeah. So that was new and interesting for us. I just kind of looked up just out of curiosity right now what the US dollar to Australian dollar is. For $1 US, you get $1.46 in Australian dollars. So your money does go a little bit further there as far as.
And I think when we were there, it was also in our favor.
Yes, it was. It was.
I don't remember how much, but that's pretty nice. I mean, that's pretty darn good. That's almost 50 cents extra to the dollar.
Yeah, and we mostly use credit cards. Again, we'll say this every time we talk about using credit cards. No foreign transaction fees. You gotta get a card that has that.
Your card has that, because that saves you quite a lot.
Yeah.
And speaking of using credit cards, they do the tap and pay thing.
Right, which is just kind of coming back here with the US.
It kind of like was here briefly, but like nobody trusted it and it disappeared. And other people apparently, like in Australia and New Zealand, were like, this is a great idea.
Yeah.
So they like had it, and we had to start telling people our card doesn't tap to pay.
So they were like, okay, go ahead and insert it. Good thing ours is insert, because then we'd be like, no, it doesn't do that either, swipe it. No.
Yeah.
But we were able to insert the card still.
Because we noticed every time somebody took our card, they were like,
doing
this, and they're like staring at us, and we're like, huh?
We're like, we checking if it's real.
I know, like, what's going on? And then finally we were like, oh, you're trying. Yeah, no, it doesn't do that. Sorry.
Yeah. Cool. So what we have next? Are we already doing it?
Yeah.
Who's in the mood for food? I don't know how we're going to put that to video format. Audio, that sounds exactly the same. We might do something in video.
Who knows?
You'll know say. Anyways, this might be our shortest Who's in the Mood for Food.
It's probably going to be pretty short, guys.
Mostly because we didn't really take too much notes on our food.
We didn't take any notes on our food.
A lot of it was actually pretty similar. I think that's why.
Yeah, it's pretty similar.
It wasn't. I mean, like when I say similar, similar to what we already eat.
Yeah, and we didn't even like. Sometimes we take pictures of our food. We didn't really take pictures of the food, so I couldn't even
know why.
That's what we ate.
There's some of. I was looking back. We do have some pictures of some food later on in our trip, but we didn't have any for Sydney.
We just we were like super excited to be there and just like in the moment and not worried about anything. I guess that's what I'm going with.
Yeah,
we were living the moment, guys.
So we're doing this literally based off of memory, and there's a couple that I remember. The first meal that we did have was the pizza with emu and kangaroo on top.
Yes.
It was half emu. It was a little pizza place. And they asked, do you want emu or do you want kangaroo? And I was like, well, can I have both? They're like, yeah, we could do half and half. So they did that.
Oh, and it was called...
It was called something?
No, I can't remember.
Oh,
it
no.
had like a funny name.
Okay, well, while you're thinking that, I'm going to let you know that emu just tastes kind of like beef. Even though it's a bird, it was low fat like chicken, but it really tasted more like beef to me.
Yeah. It was really good.
And then the kangaroo was kind of gamey, but lean at the same time.
Yeah, and
it was kind of hard
I
to.
think they overcooked it because we heard later that it's really easy to overcook kangaroo, and then it kind of gets that gamey sort of texture or consistency.
Yeah, but it was a very strong flavor.
Yeah,
a good strong flavor.
Yeah. And the same thing. I've kind of when we were reading up on stuff, it was similar to I think like lamb or beef or something, but like more pronounced flavor.
Okay. Then let's see. One of my favorites that I always get places is fish and chips.
Yeah.
Their fish and chips were good. It was a different type of cod.
I know. It wasn't cod. It was a different type of fish.
A different type of fish. That's
and
what I meant.
And I can't remember what type of fish it was.
Gosh.
But it was really good. Like I liked it more than I usually like fish and chips.
I don't remember what it was.
It was
really
a local fish of some kind.
Yeah.
But I can't remember, and it was so good. We also had kangaroo another night.
Yeah, and this was actually kind of funny. We found this place that kind of a fancier place.
Oh, what was it called? Like meat.
The meat company. I think it was Meat Co.
We found it and we it looked good, and so we decided to eat there. We were super hungry because we put off eating for too long because we were doing stuff. And we sit down, we order, Ryan got a kangaroo steak.
Yeah.
And it was so good. It was super flavorful.
I think it was the Meat District Company.
Oh, that sounds right. But then we started laughing because as we were eating our food, we find out that there's also one in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And we're like, what are the odds that we pick a restaurant that also exists in LA?
Yeah, it was so funny. But that one, it was so good.
It was so good.
But they, like we said, you can't really cook it that much. And they literally brought it out rare.
Yeah, it was
very rare.
It was so good.
I liked it, though.
It was amazing.
I liked it. And it was, I think we looked it up, too, because when they brought it out that rare, I was looking, I was like, is this too rare to have this meat? But then they said, you gotta eat. And people are like, oh, no, you ate kangaroo? There are so many kangaroos out there. It's like cows.
Kind of. And it was a little weird.
I was okay.
The first time, because that wasn't the first time we had tasted kangaroo.
Right.
Surprisingly.
Right. We had kangaroo burgers way long ago. Yeah. And
but it was definitely, I don't know, it was one of those things where we're like, well, yeah, we're gonna. I mean, if it's here and it's good, we're gonna eat it. It's weird to think about because you think of them being not something that you eat, but when you find out that it's pretty normal and other people eat it, it's not that weird. Moving on to my favorite category of who's in the mood for food.
Who was that?
Dessert.
Ooh, no way. I had no idea.
So we got to try something that's pretty well known for Australia and New Zealand, I think, which is Anzac biscuits. Mm-hmm. Did you think I meant biscuits, guys? Cookies.
Oh, cookies. Okay.
Another lingo thing. So these are sweet cookies. They were made popular in World War I. Super random. But they were sent over to the soldiers for the Australia-New Zealand Army Corps, ANZAC, because they couldn't spoil very easily. It actually sounds like something that we would be eating right now because it's got rolled oats, flour, butter, sugar, coconut, and a few other things. But it's really good. They're very crispy cookies, and they're super, super yummy with tea, or coffee, I guess. I don't drink coffee, but they were so yummy. We had it with our morning tea on one of our tours, and it was amazing. Also, Lamington cake.
Lamington cake?
Yeah.
Oh, that was the one that you were talking about before. That stuff is so good.
I kind of forgot about this.
Yeah. Until we saw a picture of.
Well, we were doing the notes, and I was like, what was the cake thing?
Yeah.
And we found the name, and I was like, oh my gosh. They're so good. It's probably one of the most popular types of desserts / cakes for Australia. It's like a spongy butter cake that is covered in chocolate and coconut. Oh my god.
So good.
I really, really want that right now.
I know.
My mouth is watering.
And, we have our mic turned up so much because we're only using one mic right now that you might hear my stomach growling. So I apologize. Yeah. And then, obviously, ice cream.
Duh.
We tried so many flavors.
We ate a lot of ice cream.
There were literally times we were walking down the street and we're like, hey, there's an ice cream place. Let's just hop in real quick and have some.
Yeah. And I have no idea what flavors we tried. I can't remember.
No. All of them, pretty much.
But yeah.
I remember there were a couple that were like unique to Australia that were really good. I don't remember what they were, but I remember there were a couple there that were
the only one that I can remember, which is I guess sort of unique to like the Australia New Zealand region.
I think this is one
is Hokey Pokey.
Hokey Pokey, yeah.
Which is kind of like it has honeycomb in it. Mm-hmm. It's freaking amazing. Like I was basically by the end of our trip, I was addicted to Hokey Pokey ice cream.
Yeah.
Or Hokey Pokey chocolate.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It's so good. Mm-hmm. But yeah.
The fish, there's two types of fish that are common for fish and chips. It's either basa or hokey.
I think we tried basa.
Maybe it was basa. Okay.
I think.
Yeah, I was trying to look it up and it was kind of hard to find, but that was as far as I could get.
It was real good.
It was
obviously we ate more food than this while we were there.
Mm-hmm.
We just don't know.
Some of the stuff was though like part of our food was the breakfast that was included in our hotel.
True.
So that was skipping meals right there, which their breakfast was very continental type. Like there was hard boiled eggs, there was toast,
some fruit, some toast.
Oh, we had Vegemite.
We did eat Vegemite.
Yeah.
Oh,
we found out how to eat Vegemite on
and
toast.
And have it be less weird.
The way we usually do something is like you think of it's in like a little like jelly pack usually, and we think, oh, jelly, scoop it all on, get it all on one piece of toast. With Vegemite, you want to do it a thin kind of thing because it is very salty.
It's very salty.
Very salty.
And so if you put like a thin layer, and someone told us that you should put butter on first.
Yes, yeah, butter on first.
Butter and then a thin layer of the Vegemite. And we tried it, and it was
actually pretty good.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Like it was still a little bit of an acquired taste. I think like you'd probably have to have it a few times before you really started to like appreciate it.
Yeah.
But it wasn't bad.
Right.
Which a lot of people were just like, oh, it makes me want to throw up. And I think, like you said, that's because they just like chunked it on there.
Yeah.
Which it's not meant to do.
Yeah. Yeah. If anybody else has any other ways that they eat Vegemite, let us know. Right. You could comment. You can go in our groups or anything like that, because I'm curious about that one for sure. Mm-hmm. Also, we had like a free meal in one of our tours. And,
there was a few.
Well, like even our like opera house tour, which we're about to talk about. We had
most of our tours included a meal.
Yeah.
And
I think that's why I was in the mood for
maybe,
food.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah.
Everything was pretty good, but like I said, it was very similar. There was nothing spectacularly different, really. Mm-hmm. Except for those desserts, which we talked about.
Right.
Those were amazing.
Right. So, let's talk about the Sydney Opera House. We actually wanted to go to an opera or some type of show there because, I mean, who wouldn't? It's beautiful. It's beautiful from the outside. It's beautiful on the inside.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the tour in a second, but if you do want to book tickets, look well in advance.
Yeah.
Because it is probably the most famous opera house. Or at least most recognizable opera house in the world.
And not just because it's so famous that you should look early, but also they don't have operas going all year round. There is a season.
Yeah, there's opera season.
We were there in the off season for opera, so there were no operas available. We might have been able to get a ticket to a play.
We were trying Julius Caesar. That was the one we were trying to get to.
Yeah, but I think before we left, we were like, oh, since we can't see an opera, like, we won't spend the money. We'll spend it on something else. I
was actually more interested in the backstage tour than I was to seeing the play. Because I've seen a lot of front of houses. I've seen a lot of it. Like, they all generally look the same. You're going to see a really good performance most likely, but what I wanted to do was the backstage stuff because that's stuff that I do for my work. I do a lot of backstage, stage managing type things. I wear a lot of hats. Right now it's only one hat, but I wear a lot of hats usually. So this backstage tour.
Yes.
A couple tips on this one. It's only in English, but if you're listening to this, you probably are understanding English, but just to let you know if you
just more of a heads up.
Yeah, just a heads up. Only English. They do require you to be able to climb at least 300 stairs.
Yeah, because you're going to be going up and down.
You're going to be going up and down stairs.
All around.
Yep. And I think it was actually exactly 300 is what they said. So they're like, yeah, we just need to do 300 stairs. So that's kind of funny that they knew that. You have to be able to be up super early.
So early.
Because what time did that one start? Like
I think
6?
6 something.
It was.
I don't know.
I just remember being up super
So
early. Quick segue into that one. We were eating leftovers from something.
I was just gonna tell you to tell the story.
I don't remember what I was eating, but I was just like, I had this leftover sandwich. It might have just been.
It
two
was
pieces
my leftover dinner.
Okay.
I don't remember what. But
It was a sandwich of some type.
of some kind.
And just walking down, and we were walking distance from the Opera House.
Yeah,
like 10, 15-minute walk.
yeah.
It wasn't that bad at all.
Again,
So
great
we're
location.
yeah, we're walking at a hasty pace because we were kind of running behind. And we were like the only ones walking down this part.
Just us.
And
It was beautiful.
it was
Staring at the Opera House.
later on in the day, it's very, very crowded. But we were the only ones walking, along with seagulls. And literally, as I was taking a bite, a seagull comes down, swoops, and takes it out of my mouth.
It was terrifying.
I was pissed off. If I wasn't late, I would have kicked a bird because I was so hungry and so mad that I didn't even get a bite in. I think I might have got one bite, maybe.
I
was
so
mid
sad.
bite, and
It took that whole
stole it.
like half a sandwich and ran
Ugh.
or flew, I should say.
It like landed and hopped.
Yeah, it's gone though.
Yeah, that sandwich was no more. I did not get to enjoy the rest of that sandwich.
Yeah, so
Unfortunately,
like we said before, the backstage tour does include breakfast,
yes.
but breakfast comes at the end of the tour,
Mhm.
which is why that story is important. Because pro tip, if you're taking this tour,
Mhm.
have a snack or something small before,
Yes.
so you don't get hangry in the middle or pass out or whatever.
Yeah.
I
I ended up being fine because it was.
yeah, it was very
Yeah, I
exciting
knew
to
that
sprinkle
food
it.
was there, and yeah, like we were saying, like I'm very into this stuff. You're also a theater nerd too,
Yeah.
so like we were both having a lot of fun.
Yeah, and so for this tour, you get to go on the stage on
Mhm.
in a few different stages. You get to go into the green room.
Mhm.
You get to go into the orchestra pit. You get to go, like I said, behind the like off stage and
You get to see where they store the
the
props.
control room, the
yeah,
props, like
there's-
literally anything you can think of. They take you and show you. Basically,
I think there was only a couple places we weren't able to go because they were like setting up.
Oh yeah,
for a new.
if they're like in the middle of like
Yeah.
doing something.
Like we get to see their like trapdoor elevator.
Yeah,
That was really cool where they bring stuff up to the stage. It's like
It was
what?
insane. And
Yeah.
and we got to hear a lot of really cool stories about all of the different stuff. Like, I don't know, some of the workers who were there and the ushers and stage managers and stuff were like, oh yeah, and then I met this person and they did this and they wanted like this or that.
Yeah.
So we got to hear a lot of crazy stories. Also, another pro tip, if you are a singer or an actor or a dancer or anything like that, like mentally prepare yourself if you go on this. Because one, it's just freaking awesome.
Yeah.
And two, they give you a chance to perform on one of the
Yes.
stages if you want.
Yeah, I have a little thing where she did a little like almost like a little ballet thing because
Yeah,
they're set up
it
for a
was just
ballet. She
doing
did a little like
something
flutterfoot, and I have a picture of me. Looks like I'm conducting a really intense part of an
Yeah.
orchestra piece.
It's really cool.
Again, I'll see if I can put this on the video. If not, it'll be. I really want to post those pictures because that was so cool.
It was really
It
cool.
was so cool.
So, would you say, was this tour worth it?
Yes, because actually they had me perform Shakespeare.
Yeah.
and I didn't have like stage fright, but more like I blanked. And he's like, the guy was like, okay, just say what we all know what you're gonna say. And I did a different quote from they thought I was gonna do To Be or Not to Be. I think, right?
No, they thought you were gonna do Friends, Countrymen.
Oh yeah. They thought I was gonna do that one.
Noblemen, Lend
But
Me
I
Your
did.
Ears.
I did something really random.
Tu-
Oh yeah, I pretended like I was dying as Et tu Brute.
Yeah.
So that was kind of fun.
It was pretty funny.
But yeah. Anyways, then we got to eat breakfast.
Then we got to eat breakfast. Breakfast was really good, and it was delicious.
Mhm.
And we got to like sit in the green room. Which, if you are familiar with theater, the green room is like the dressing room, kind of where you get ready and everything. This green room was
It was.
Wow.
I've seen
like a
smaller.
full-
I've seen smaller cafeterias.
Yeah, it's like a full on like restaurant and
Mhm.
cafeteria, and I don't even remember everything that was in there, but it was crazy. And so you got to be in there with the workers and maybe some performers and actors who were also eating. It was very, very fun.
Yeah. Yeah, just
Um,
remember pre-tour, have a snack.
Yeah.
Because you're there for a while.
and I do agree. I do think this tour was worth it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, like I said, if you are a music geek or a theater nerd or a dancer. I don't think there's a weird way to say that. If you are any of those types of things,
A performer, stage performer
of
of any
anything
kind.
like that,
Yeah.
this is going to be worth it for you.
Yeah.
Like I knew he was going to freak out. I didn't realize like how much I was going to freak out when we were there. Like standing on the stage, looking out at those seats, like I just stopped
Yeah.
breathing for a second.
So cool.
Amazing. And like hearing the acoustics from the stage and doing all of that is just totally, totally worth it.
Yeah, totally is. Let's move on.
Let's move on.
We're going to move on to the Blue Mountains. And at first I was thinking Blue Mountains, like, oh, it's just something they call it. The mountains aren't literally blue, but they call it that for it turns the sky like a deeper blue or like a more radiant blue.
Yeah, the sky is like a more vibrant, brighter blue.
That's a better word.
But also from a distance,
Mhm.
the mountains look blue
And that's
because of the tree.
Is it the eucalyptus?
I think so.
I think it's the
It
eucalyptus,
releases
yeah.
something into the air that kind of gives the mountains a bluish appearance, but as you get closer, that changes.
Yeah, it turns green.
Which is kinda
And,
cool.
You know, the greens and browns. But yeah, then when you're in the Blue Mountains, if you're in the trees and you look up, it's just the blue is so vibrant. It looks like it was like a filter on a camera.
It does.
But in real
Or
life.
like you've got polarized glasses on.
Yeah. Yeah. So we went to the Blue Mountains on a tour, and it was the Blue Mountains High Country Eco Tour.
Yeah, we did a lot of eco-friendly tours, which was
Yeah.
actually really cool, trying to be conscious and respectful as tourists.
Mhm.
So that was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this one was about 9 hours long,
Yeah.
but it does include hotel pickup and drop off, and you have a guide with
Mhm.
you, and they have like a first aid kit. They have lunch for you.
Yeah.
It
We have a
includes the
morning tea.
Oh yeah, morning tea. It also includes the national park fees,
Mhm.
so that was really good. We went to Featherdale Wildlife Park, where we got to see kangaroos, koalas,
Mhm.
wallabies, and wombats, like
Yes.
up close, almost like petting zoo.
Yeah.
Actually, it was like
It was a petting zoo. Like,
Yeah.
we got to pet some.
Mhm.
I think we pet kangaroo and wallabies. I think.
Yes, because we've also learned that kangaroos, wallabies, and wombats,
Question mark? But I think so.
they're all the same. It just depends on their size.
Yes. So kangaroos. Are
Oh no, it was
biggest,
red kangaroo, then like a
Oh,
kangaroo,
okay.
then
Then the
the
wallaby.
wallaby. Those
And,
those three are
wallabies
the
are
same
like
thing.
tiny little kangaroos,
Yeah.
but they're so cute. And
They are.
And can we talk about how soft kangaroo
They're
is?
so soft.
So soft. I didn't
So
think it was going to be
soft.
soft.
Yeah.
It looks like it's going to be kind of like coarse.
Yeah, but it's
not.
It's not.
It's amazing.
No, it was very soft.
My nose is so itchy.
Oh, I'm
I
sorry.
have to say that because people can see me scratching my nose. Sorry.
Scratch it for you.
No, I
Okay.
don't.
Okay. We got to watch some koalas.
Yeah.
And the really cool part about that is we got to see babies.
The little babies.
And I didn't know this, but koalas can jump.
they can seriously jump.
Yeah.
Like, wow.
Yeah. We'll post the video of the koala jumping. Again, if I am able to edit it in, it's going to go right here. Pretty neat. If not, it that was weird. But yeah, so we got to see a koala jump. I didn't realize how agile they were. They were very active because it was, as you can see in the video, if you did see it, is very,
wind.
very windy.
So
and
they
that
were
was actually
awake.
relatively calm for the trip.
Yeah.
Like the wind was absolutely insane.
And that was the most active I've ever seen koala.
Mhm.
I've never seen them like that. So it was one, just weird to see them awake,
Yeah.
and then to see them moving around. And when we saw the one jump, we were like, "What just happened?"
Yeah. Everybody around, you can hear them go, oh.
It was
really
really,
cool.
really cool.
Yeah. We also went to. Oh, we have a funny picture of you wearing a koala hat from there.
We do,
That was really funny. We also saw, what is that one bird? It was like it was related to the emu, but more aggressive. You can see them in real life, but if you don't want to get near them because they're very territorial.
I don't remember the name.
I think it starts with a C. It's a big
giant bird.
Has the big like stone thing on its head.
Almost like an ostrich, but bigger.
Yeah. Anyways,
I guess almost like an emu.
It's like.
Oops.
Oh man.
It's a very large bird, guys.
Yeah, very large bird. Very dangerous, and that just went right through my head. It would go right through your head. They're not very nice. Anyways, we also went to the Blue Mountains National Park.
That's right.
Yeah. You want to talk about that a little bit?
So this was pretty cool.
Yeah.
When we got in there, we went to like a kind of a picnic area. So they had some tables, a nice kind of open field, the trees all around us. And that's where we were going to have our morning tea. And before we got started, our guide for the day was like, oh, yeah, if we just kind of wander around over here, you're going to probably see some kangaroo. And lo and behold, there was like a little herd of kangaroo hanging out and just chilling. And he was like, oh, yeah, these are just free.
So would it be a
wild
herd of kangaroo?
I don't actually know if that's the correct term.
No, it's not. It's not. I know this one too.
Do you? I don't know this one.
God, what is it?
A collective?
No. Ruse.
Oh.
There's a ruse of kangaroos.
A ruse of kangaroos.
Yeah.
Well, that's fun to say.
Yeah, and you also don't want to run into a cassowary. That is the name of that bird. That is the name of the big bird, and it actually looks frightening too.
It
so
does
you
look
gotta watch out for those guys.
It was kind of prehistoric.
Very prehistoric looking. But anyways, yeah, we actually had a picnic right next to this group of kangaroos.
It was
the
really
Ruse of
fun.
Kangaroos.
The Ruse of Kangaroos.
And it's funny because it started off with, we were like, oh, look, there's one right over there. And also I was like, ooh, there's actually 3. Ooh, there's 5. There's like 12 over here.
Many.
There's so many.
It kind of reminded me about like the way the deer is.
Yeah.
Like camouflaging with the light hitting the grass and
they
everything.
were just chilling.
Just hanging out.
Yeah.
But like I said, and this is where we had our morning tea, which is where we got to try the flippin' amazing cake. The Lamington cake, and we got to do the Anzac cookies and a couple other things. We just sat and we chatted. There was, 4 or 5 other people on the tour?
Yeah, there's 2 other pairs.
2 other pairs, okay. On the tour with us. So we got to chance to talk to everybody. So that was fun.
We went to King's Tableland. Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this was really a great place to see the kind of wide view of what's it called? Jameson.
This is the Jameson Valley.
Jameson Valley.
It looks almost like I've technically have been to the Grand Canyon with my parents, but I was really little. I can imagine it's like looking out at the Grand Canyon if the Grand Canyon had trees.
And was green and lush and beautiful. Yeah. And that's how I felt too, just from seeing pictures of the Grand. I've never been to the Grand Canyon, but from seeing pictures and then staring out at this, I was like, I feel like the Grand Canyon is this, but someone photoshopped all the trees out.
Is that where the Castle Rock was? Or is that a different place? Do you remember Castle Rock?
No.
Where it was like the rock that looked like a castle from far?
Oh, kind of, but I don't know where it was.
Oh, man, I wonder where that was because I want to talk about that when we get to it. But anyways, we had a lunch at a cafe that was kind of nearby. Yeah,
it was kind of in the heart of like the Blue Mountains. It was like a little cafe. We had really good food. Like I said, I don't remember what we ate, but I remember we were like, this is awesome. So yummy. I can't stop scratching my nose.
It's really dry here right now. If you're not familiar with California's weather right now.
Everything's on fire.
Everything's on fire. Oh gosh, the fires followed us from Australia.
No, that would be horrible.
That would be horrible. But then we drove along the cliffs towards the township of, what was it? Katoomba.
And if this is where Eagle Hawk Lookout is, right in that area. And if you're asking why do you need to know about this lookout, you can view one of the most famous rock formations in the Blue Mountains, which is the Three Sisters Rock Formation. So that's pretty cool. We got to hear, like, our guide told us the whole story about the Three Sisters and kind of like the tale or folklore around it?
This is where we saw. It's called Ruined Castle.
Ah, okay.
Ruined Castle Rock.
Tell me more.
That was the one where it's just a rock formation that looks from afar. It looks like a castle. I remember when I asked our tour guide, "Hey, what's that castle over there?" He's like, "That's actually not a castle.
Yeah.
It's actually rocks."
Yeah.
And it literally looks like. I like if you can imagine. I really honestly the only way to put it is ruins.
Like a turret of a castle.
Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, that was really cool. And then the Three Sisters, that one had a really cool story. I don't remember it off the top of my head. I would look it up though. It's a very interesting story.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It is
of it to
it
tell
is an
it.
elaborate story too. So that
But
would
it was
take
very interesting.
more time than we should give. We also did a short hike.
Yeah, it was a really easy hike.
Yeah, to Wentworth Falls, and this is where we got a really big demonstration about how windy it was.
That's true.
Because the waterfalls wasn't a waterfall; it was a water rise.
Yeah.
The water was falling down and going
And
up at the same
blowing,
time.
like straight back up,
Yeah,
basically.
it was very sci-fi-ish going on, where there were times where we saw it going normal, but it was
like you could tell when a gust of wind went through.
yeah. For the most part, the waterfall was going up as well. That was really cool.
Yeah.
Was this one worth it?
Oh yeah, this is amazing.
Yeah.
But also,
Mhm.
I feel like if you're kind of, young and able-bodied and have a little bit of adventurous spirit, you might rather go solo on this.
Yeah, because there were other parts that you could do that maybe went a little further to different views and everything.
Like there was this one hike, and we saw people up on like this rock formation, and we were like,
we want to do that.
"There's people there."
Yeah. Oh, that one.
How
That's
do
right.
we do
it went
that?
off. Did it go off into one of the sisters? Is that where
I
it went?
think so.
Oh,
And it looked
man.
really cool. And we
Yeah.
were like, we want to do that. But obviously, we're part of a tour group. So
Yeah.
we couldn't like break off and do the thing.
Yeah.
So
That's one of the
that
cons to a
was-
tour group is
That
when
was
you.
the negative.
Yeah, some of the cons for a tour group, and this goes with any of them, when you see something that you want to do, you don't necessarily get to do it
Yeah.
because there's a schedule, there's a plan,
Yeah,
and there's
you
more
gotta
than just
stick
you.
with the group and whatnot. So I would have liked to have been able to kind of go off exploring and hiking on our own and spend a little bit more time kind of doing that.
Mhm.
But I mean, I still had a great time. I just kind of felt like I would have wanted to do that instead.
We also did another tour
That's right.
called the Essentials Sydney Tour.
Yes.
This one was approximately 5 hours, also including hotel pickup, drop off, a qualified guide. In our case, it was the same guide.
Oddly enough.
Specialized tour equipment and lunch.
Yes.
This one we got to learn more specifically about the rocks, which is the birthplace of Sydney. That's where when you think of them sending all of the convicts, this is where they first started, was in the rocks.
Yeah, they built little cottages there, and they kind of started spreading out the community and building up the town. And so you get to see some of those old cottages, some of the like oldest pubs, some of the first churches for Australia, and all of that stuff.
Yeah.
This tour took us all over Sydney. Like,
Yeah.
it really
Glad we were
went
in a car.
everywhere. You needed to be in a car. So some of the other things, like highlights, were seeing Australia's first Parliament House,
Mm-hmm.
the Mint, Hyde Park Barracks, St. Mary's Cathedral.
Yeah.
You also got to enjoy a walk along the harbor's edge, which was really fun.
Mhm.
That was actually really nice.
If you could see the water, you pretty much have a good view of the Opera House.
And the bridge.
And the
which
bridge.
are both pretty iconic.
Yeah.
So you'll hear us say that there was a great view of those two things quite a lot.
Yeah, and you get to hear the story behind the. This is the name that I can't do. It's Mrs. McCare's? McCary's chair?
McCary's.
Mrs. McCary's chair.
Yeah.
It's a chair that Mr. McCary carved into a big
the
rock.
sandstone. And it's huge. You think like tiny little chair. No, this is like a chair for a giant.
Mm-hmm.
And he did this because his wife would sit there and stare out at the ocean, waiting for ships to come because she wanted to leave.
Yep.
Which is really funny to me.
Yep. I'm going to skip back a little bit.
Yeah.
Cool thing about Sydney with their old buildings, like the Parliament House, the what were the other ones? The Cathedral, the Mint, the Barracks. All of it, they're building up in Sydney, but they keep the facade.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool. So like it looks like you're going through like, oh yeah, these are all old buildings, and you look up like 2 floors and you're like, wait, there's a whole building.
There's a skyscraper coming out of the top.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That was really cool.
Yeah. It's a really cool way that
they're
to
keep the history.
Maintaining the history is a really, really neat idea, and I hope that other countries / cities follow that suit, because it was really nice. What else did we do? Oh, we did a lunch in the most fancy place I think we've ever had lunch on a trip.
Yeah.
It was a yacht club.
Yeah, like
the
a
Cruising
really
Yacht
nice,
Club of Australia.
Like one of the premier yacht clubs.
They had several trophies.
I have to say that super fancy.
Yeah, they had several trophies from like the US Open.
Yeah,
and, like this is a yacht club for racing and stuff like that. It was very nice.
It had a great view of the harbor. That was it was really pretty. I think there was like live music playing, and the food was delicious. So that was all great.
Yeah.
We also passed by some different areas like Double Bay, Rose Bay, Watson's Bay, a lot of bays. And then we got to go and kind of go along the coastline towards like Bondi Beach and do a little bit of walking around and exploring in that area, which was pretty cool.
So what do you think? Was this one worth it?
Maybe.
I think this one would be worth it if it was the first thing we did.
Yeah, I think it would have felt way more worth it if we did it day one, like first thing.
Yeah.
We had already been there a couple days at this point, and we kind of felt like we'd already
explored a lot of the stuff.
Explored a lot of the things.
And the tour we did the day before went over some of the stuff.
Yeah, and
because we're the same tour guide.
So yeah,
so we heard the same story the same way. Like he'd been doing it for a long time, so he has the same kind of thing.
So
I mean, we enjoyed it. Again, we enjoyed it,
but I definitely think I would have, for us, the way it worked out, I would have rather not done this tour, saved a little bit of money, and had the opportunity to explore on our own a little bit more. So that's what I would say.
Yeah, I agree. Before we go on, let's since we're getting pretty far into this one, let's pause this one.
Yes.
We're going to leave you for this week. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for being here. Hopefully this worked.
Hopefully you can see us.
Hopefully you can see us. If you can see us, hello. If not, hello in the audio format.
Real dumb.
But anyways, for this week, is there anything else you want to say?
No, come back next week for more.
All right. Cue the music. Thank you for listening this week. If you enjoy this show, please share us with your friends.
And review us.
That's right. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Seriously, we're everywhere.
Everywhere. You can follow us too on Twitter at CarryOnCouplePC, Instagram or Facebook. That's Carry On Couple Podcast. And you can also email us.
That's right, at carryoncouplepodcast@gmail.com.
Now, we're all about these free podcasts. We're just doing this for fun. Really, we are. However, if you do want to support us, we won't say no to money. Just go to anchor.fm/carryoncouplepodcast and click the support this podcast link. We have an exciting opportunity for you. That's right, you can be heard on Carry On Couple Podcast.
What?
That's right. It's simple. You just download the Anchor FM app, search Carry On Couple Podcast, tap voice message, and start recording.
That's right. And if you have any tips and tricks of your own that you want to share, or any fun destination stories from a recent trip that you went on, please leave us a message.
The great thing is you can still listen to Carry On Couple Podcast on the platform of your choice. But if you want to be heard, download Anchor FM and leave us a message.
Until next week, thanks again. And remember, adventure is out there.